Right, today is page 84. Page 84, Lona Pala Sutta, the salt crystal, discourse on the salt crystal. Now, before we go on into the sutta, I will talk a bit about our practice, our Dharma practice. I think the paging is a bit different. The old paging is what? Same, okay. Now, Buddhism is 2,500 years old. It is the oldest missionary religion. In other words, teaching which is open to everybody. Before Buddhism, not all religions are open to everybody. For example, Brahmanism, you are born into it. If you're not born to it, too bad. You cannot pray with them. They'll pray for you, but you can't join them. You just listen. They are the priests. And of course, you got to pay a lot. We call it donation, but it's payment. Also, the Jews, they also, it's a race. You got to be of that race. Okay? Although now, if you're not the Jew, you can also join them if you like. But Buddhism started with a very open teaching. Anyone can join it. It doesn't matter what class you come from or no class, whether you're rich or poor, king or pauper, you can be a Buddhist, you can become a monk. To become a monk, the Buddha says, is like the four rivers, the great rivers of India, all going to the same ocean. Before the rivers, when the rivers are flowing, they got different names. Ganges River, Yamuna River, Niranjara River, and so on. But once they go into the ocean, they all lose their name. They are simply called the Great Ocean. So, no matter what class you come from, whether it's the priest class, the warrior class, the merchant class, the workers class, or no class, the outcast, you all become like the great ocean of the noble Sangha. If you practice, you attain at least stream winning, you are part of the noble Sangha. That's the true Sangha. The true Sangha are not those people who wear the robes. Not all of them. They are the true practitioners. So even people like you and I, when we practice properly, reflecting on impermanence, we will become a part of this Sangha. After so many decades of practicing Buddhism, I can be more sure now, I'm much more sure now, that you just need to practice what the Buddha taught you in the suttas. It's preserved for us. We're very lucky to have all these teachings. If you follow the Tibetan method, you end up as a Tibetan. You'll be reborn as some Tibetan. If you follow Japanese method, you end up in Japan or become a Japanese or something, right? So if you follow any kind of Buddhism that's got a prefix in front of it or some kind of race in front of it, you'll never be awakened. Because those are all teachings with an agenda. Their purpose is to promote their culture, promote the guru, and so on. Whereas what the Buddha taught is only for one reason only, for you to see yourself as you really are. It's a very simple teaching, but it got complicated after the Buddha passed away. Everybody started putting in their ideas. A lot of people don't admit it, but Mahayana arose around the same time as Christianity arose. Now you picture this map of India. You have India looking like what they call that, bee's comb, bee's hive, honeycomb like that. Okay, triangle, and then you have Afghanistan, Northwest India, and you go further west, Israel. The Hebrews are there. Christianity arose there. And you find many of these Mahayana teachings are not found in early Buddhism. Very similar to the way the early Christians teach. And they are very closely connected. There are lots of merchants coming and going, and merchants often bring these religions through the Silk Road. Okay? So if you look at, for example, Amitabha Buddha, the Buddha of light, this idea of light came from Persia, the god of light, and darkness is evil. Okay? And then you look at the Lotus Sutra, there's so many teachings which are against the Buddha, against the Arahats. There are parables there which are very similar to the Christian parables, the lost son, and so on. So there is some kind of link there. I mean, why would Buddhists, so-called Buddhists, write so-called sutra and attack the Buddha, make fun of the Arahats? Very strange. It's very bad karma. Obviously, they do not have in their hearts the faith in the Buddha and the Arahats. So they have changed all these things. Now those practicing monks, the Arahats, they are not quarrelsome. So they just keep quiet, they go on teaching, they go on practicing. In other words, the teaching is still available to us today. And today, with all these facilities like internet and so on, we can easily get all these original teachings. You just have to, you know English, you can read English, so that's what you use, your education, your intelligence, to read those suttas. Okay? You don't need to go into very deeply into the suttas unless you want to be a teacher, which is of course good if you can go deeply. We need teachers. But even if you cannot be teachers, you just select some basic suttas. What are the basic suttas you need? Whatever suttas that talk about impermanence, that is your key to awakening in this life, to stream winning in this life. No need to think about bodhisattvas or Kuan Yin even, or Amitabha or mantras or rituals. None of this will bring you awakening. They might bring you happiness here and now, yes, but they won't bring you awakening. They will keep you in this world. Okay? So, how do we practice this teaching the Buddha has given us so that we become truly happy? You remember, we always talk about one thing only in all these classes. The key teaching is on impermanence. That is the secret. Some people say, wow, so easy. Yes, when you say it's easy, but when you practice it, it's different. It's just like someone driving a car, so easy. But when you try, it's not so easy. You got to practice. All right? So impermanence is like that. So whatever happens, just reflect on this impermanence. You don't have to change your practice. I know many of you practice some other system and you find it's very difficult to let go of them. You stay with those practices. Only thing is now your attitude towards those practices must change. You do not see them as things. Right? For example, let's say if you recite Kuan Yin mantra, like Om Mani Padme Hum, you recite, if you think, oh, I'm getting a lot of power, you will never get any happiness next life. No guarantee what you'll be reborn next life. Okay? But, well, recite Om Mani Padme Hum if you like. But when you hear the sounds, what do you notice? Impermanence. So always notice the impermanence. The sound doesn't matter. Impermanence. Don't think about, for Kuan Yin, 6 realms, this and that, this color, that color. This is all the mind thinking. This will not bring you awakening. This only trap you in samsara. Impermanent. Sounds, impermanent. All these thoughts I have, impermanent. You recite what you like, but all this, remember, those are impermanent. Now once you keep on doing this, after a while, when you hear the sound, Om Mani Padme Hum, you feel impermanent. Same thing, Amitabha and so on. Don't think of this Buddha of light that doesn't exist. There's no such Buddha. But these people are so brainwashed into everything Amitabha, and they don't know what they're saying, right? And here the Amitabha, and the next thing they were hitting your children, right? So it's meaningless, right? But you can recite Amitabha if you like. But sound is just sound. It's impermanent, okay? Then it becomes something very real to you. So just sound is impermanent, right? And then you go to a temple, you find all these different temples, different images. The Buddha looks so different, how does the Buddha look like in the end? Because they are all not photos of the Buddha at all. They are all creations of the various cultures. Then you go to China, you see this big, fat, obese, unhealthy-looking Buddha. In India, the Buddha looks handsome and muscular, And now Buddhism is going to the West, so it looks like a Westerner, Ang Mo, right? So that's not the way the Buddha looked, you see. So you see all these images, you say, yes, I bow down, but in my mind, I'm bowing down to the Buddha's teaching. All these images are impermanent. Right, we have this huge big Buddha, in Bamiyan, remember? They were built by this Mahayana group called the Mahasanghika, a special group of the Mahasanghika called the Lokottaravada. This Lokottaravada, they believe the Buddha is godly, he's not of this world. He was not born, he never died, only his projection appear in this way. They believe the kind of Mahayana belief. So they made this huge big Buddha, and obviously they're very successful because the merchants supported them. And this Buddha is very colorful, beautiful Buddha image, right? And with gems, precious stones studded in the forehead and so on. Of course, while the merchants were there, while the Buddhists were there, this Buddha image is safe. But then came the Turks. They were not very rich. Whatever they attacked is theirs. So slowly they plan decades, centuries ahead, and they say, wow, these Buddhists are very rich, Their temples are got gold images, their monks are very rich, So they planned this for centuries, and then slowly they spread from Turkey down, Persia, Afghanistan, India. Bit by bit, they took over all this land. The temples were destroyed, all this gold were melted down. Who is at fault? We created all these images. We forget they are impermanent, right? So when the Taliban destroyed the images, a lot of people feel guilty, especially those of other religions. I was a speaker. That's my first talk I gave when I came to Singapore nearly 20 years ago. So I told this crowd, about 800 young students, I said, we Buddhists, we are not worried. You can break all the images you want, because these images are all, after all, made up of the 4 elements. You don't break them, they will break by themselves. So if they want to bomb the image, fine, go ahead. If you're happy, do it. To us, we say it's impermanent. These images represent impermanence. Now, if someone destroy your sacred image and you get angry, then you have failed. Because it's just an image. It's not real. No one can destroy the goodness inside you. The Buddha says, things outside can be destroyed, but nothing can destroy the goodness inside you. If you practice, goodness inside you. Another example is a ship. A ship sails on the water. As long as outside water does not get in, the ship will never sink. But when you let outside water get into the ship, then it will sink. What is that water outside? All the wrong views and funny ideas and rituals. Once they get into your life, your boat has water, very risky. Once you have a storm, your ship will sink. So bail out the boat. Dhammapada, the Buddha says, bail out your boat, clear away all the water in the boat. Then your boat will sail safe and fast to the destination. So we see Buddha image, very nice, all kinds of strange things. It's just seeing. So you tell yourself seeing. You don't say, oh, this is that Buddha, this Buddha. They don't exist. All these are stories people create. Only Sakyamuni Buddha. Okay? But even then, doesn't matter. When you see all these images, seeing, your eyes are functioning. And then sometimes you hear all these people, they play music. No? Listening to us is, wow, very nice music. People get very excited, say, whoa, this is wonderful. I say, it's just music, right? You can call it Buddhism if you like, it's just music. I mean, fine if you love music, But they won't bring you awakening. It's just entertainment. Maybe it will gather people together. You feel happy, you feel good, yes. That's religion. But it's not spirituality. Spirituality means your heart. No? Imagine, here you have in Singapore this very nice orchestra playing Buddhist music. If you say, oh, you listen to this music, you get awakened. What about people in some other country who don't have all these things? Does it mean they won't get awakened? So the logic is not good. So you're not awakened by things of the senses. Sound is a thing of the sense. Sight is a thing of the sense. Your thoughts, all your 5 or 6 senses, all these keep you in the world. They are the world. So when you say impermanent sound, that's all it is. You are recognizing it for what it is. Nowhere in the scripture, in the early scripture, Amitabha is mentioned. Nowhere in the suttas Kuan Yin mentioned. Compassion is mentioned. Light is mentioned. So it's just a sound. Right? In that way, you are not disrespecting it. You are not believing in it either. But you are using it as your path to awakening. Because this is how you see things. Down to their true reality. In Pali we say, Yoniso manasikara. Yoniso. Yoni means the womb. No? Yoniso is the adjective, adverb, meaning you go down to the womb, to the origin. What's the original meaning? Manas is mind, kara is action. So in other words, you direct your mind to the true reality. What you hear, sound. Doesn't matter if it's a mantra or some chanting or whatever, just sound. Okay? You see Buddha images, all kind of Buddha images. It's just seeing. Okay? And then whatever food you take, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, it's just taste. Of course, you should not kill. Okay? And so on. Now, once you reflect like that, then you reflect on impermanence. So it's not difficult, isn't it? Basically, just know what's happening right now. Now, you're listening to the Dharma here from the suttas. No? Even this Dharma is impermanent. After a while, half an hour more, 45 minutes more, no more class already. Yeah? And you go home like as if it never happened. But there's something inside you. You remember this moment of impermanence when we gather together. You are listening to my voice. Even my voice also is changing all the time. Never the same sound in one moment. Everything is modulating, changing. That's how you understand things. Because there is change. There is only meaning in change. If there is no change, there's no meaning. Nothing can exist without change. Change makes life meaningful. So you reflect that way. No? Then you do it in such a way that it becomes natural to you. For example, you don't like to do something, you say, this works all the time, the same thing. No? Then in your mind you say it's impermanent, right? So you find, before you know it, it's gone. Time up already, like that, People feel bored because they keep telling themselves it's boring. That's why it's troubling them, you see. So you just do it. I have a house joke. I always tell Ratna, I say, I love washing dishes. How many of you here love washing dishes? You must be crazy, love washing dishes. I said, no, I love washing dishes. It's really wonderful, so peaceful. Right? You just stand there, you just wash dishes, you get clean crockery to eat with. Isn't that wonderful? If you can do that your whole life, isn't that wonderful? You say, what's this man saying? Is he crazy? You see? But the point is, when you wash a dish, you are not telling yourself, this is horrible, I hate this, and then you want to enjoy it. You're just washing for hardly 10 minutes, and it's such an important thing to do. Otherwise you get sick, you don't wash your dishes, right? Then more cockroaches will come, right? So as you wash, you say, impermanent, all the dirt going away, impermanent, And then before you know it, is that all? No more dishes to wash. Almost a disappointment, So you apply this impermanence to everything you do, you find life is very interesting. When you travel, you see everything is changing. In fact, impermanence is everywhere, you can't escape it. So you apply this teaching. Then it becomes a habit, Whenever anything happens, in your mind you say impermanent. Something good happens, you say, I better enjoy this, because it's impermanent. Something bad happens, you say, it's all right, this is also impermanent. So your mind is calm, you see? You don't even have to think about it. So do this practice, and then you find loving kindness arising in you. It's easier to keep the precepts. Everything becomes natural, all right? You don't need to hear difficult, complicated suttas. You just know what to do. And when the time comes, you feel that you want to study deeper sutta, you find you are peaceful enough, you have a lot of time. As we grow old, we've got nothing to do, Let's say once you retire, that's a terrible period, You've got nothing to do. And you have nothing to do, I can tell you that's the worst thing in life. To me, translating suttas is the most meaningful thing I'm doing. Although I've slowed down now, but there's always this translation going on. And it's very joyful. So once you find something meaningful, you feel joyful, you feel happy. Then your health also is good, you live happily. Whether you want to live long or short, up to you, but you live happily. So this is the practice of impermanence. And then, as the Buddha says, when your time comes, you pass away, your thoughts are such, your impermanence in your mind, you're very peaceful, you become a stream winner. Or maybe even earlier, you might become a stream winner. So this is how we practice. I have to remind you this, because a lot of you would think, oh, it's so difficult, I can't. That's all you need to do. You don't have to sign up a form and say, I so want to become a stream winner, sign. You don't need all that. You just do this practice. It's like breathing. Your breathing also impermanent. That's all. Keep reminding yourself that. And then you find something wonderful happens to you. Please remember this, okay? You're creating good karma when you reflect in this way. You're not breaking any of the precepts. But then sometimes you say, bad things still happen to me. Why? Someone stopped talking to me, somebody stole something from me, and so, but you're not breaking the precepts. And this is what we're going to study today. Okay? The Lona Pala Sutta. Why is it that sometimes good people suffer and bad people enjoy life? Do you notice that? Yeah? Sometimes, very often in fact. Yeah. Okay? And some people do very bad karma but don't seem to have a result. And you do a lot of good things, don't seem to have a result. The word seem is very important. Alright? So, this sutta, the Buddha explains it in this sutta. Alright? One more point you must remember is this. There is a famous saying, as you sow, so you shall reap, right? We all heard that before, no? The funny thing is that this is actually not exactly the Buddha word, The Buddha never said this. Yes, it's found in the sutta, but it is recorded in the Samyutta Nikaya as a curse, mind you, it's a curse by the rishis, the seers. So there are this group of holy men, they live by the ocean, meditating and so on. And then you got the asuras. The asuras live in the ocean, the story goes. And you got the devas, Sakra and the devas. So they are fighting each other. Now, every time they fight, this asura is very fierce. They would just go across the land. And this ashram of the rishis, or these forest recluses, get destroyed. Okay, these forest meditators. So these forest meditators, they sense a battle is coming. So the representative went to see the leader of the asuras, called Sambara. He says, please, when you fight, don't come this way. Do not destroy our land, please. No? Then Sambara said, nope, I cannot promise you. Because Sambara is very fierce. It's an asura, remember. Moreover, Sambara doesn't like these rishis because they respect Sakra more. So these rishis, out of fear and panic, they say, we have never thought of any harm to you. But if you keep on destroying our homes, it's very difficult for us. So whatever you do that is bad, it will come to you. Whatever fruit you sow, so you shall reap. That's the curse, So, because if that, it is true, yeah, but it's not 100% true, because we have sowed a lot of mangoes, but we never got mango trees, never seem to grow, We have done a lot of good karma, but they don't seem to ripen. So this saying, whatever you sow, so you shall reap, is not completely true. Indeed, if it is completely true, we are in a serious problem. We'll never awaken in this life, because all our karma, we must pay back your karma. Imagine if you have to pay back all your karma, you'll never be able to do that, We keep on creating lots of new karma, right? So this sutta would explain what's really going on. So anyway, so this Sambara, because he received this curse, and that night he couldn't sleep. He suddenly got up in the middle of the night screaming, and great fear in his mind, And because of that, his name was changed to Vepachitti. Vepa means shaken. Chitti is mind. The mind, one whose mind is shaken. In other words, troubled mind. Okay. Anyway, he had a beautiful daughter, which Sakra stole and married. So Sakra's father-in-law, actually. So this is another interesting story, which we may go into one day. All right, so how does karma work? Let's look at this sutta here. Page 50. Lonapala Sutta. What page is your... 90. Oh, I'm sorry, it's my eyesight. 90. Okay, Lonapala Sutta Discourse on the Salt Crystal, A 3.90. 99. A 3.99. Okay. Whoever bhikshus were to say whatever karma this person has done, he would experience that very same karma. This being so, bhikshu, there is no living of the holy life. There appears to be no opportunity for the utter ending of suffering. Okay? So, in simple words, the Buddha say, whatever karma you do, it will come back to you. It's not true. Okay? Because if that's the case, then you will never be able to get out of it. If you kill, I don't know how many cockroaches you have killed, you'll be reborn as the same number of times as the cockroaches you kill. And then you have killed mosquitoes, you kill so many things. No end, isn't it? There'll be no chance to awaken. So this is what the Buddha is saying. The Buddha says, karma doesn't work that way. Yes, in physics, to every action there is an equal reaction. Physics, yeah. Physical thing, yes. But the mind is different. The mind is different. Because the mind that kills is never the same. Some people, the mind, a lot of hatred. Some people, less hatred. Some people, no hatred, but delusion. See? So all different reasons people kill. You see? So this is one thing you must remember. But this is not, this is only the beginning of the sutta. So don't go away and say, oh, that's it. Nah? It's just the beginning only. Okay, so then the Buddha says, but bhikshus, whoever were to say thus, whatever karma experienceable in certain way that a person does, he would experience its ripening in just that way. Then there is living of the holy life, the opportunity for utter ending of suffering. All right. So notice, whatever karma that can be experienced in a certain way that person does. So if you are in the habit of causing harm to others, then this hatred will become a part of you. Or another way of putting it is not the fruit of karma that comes back to haunt you. You become the karma that you do. You become the karma that you do. It's very different, you see. What does that mean, if you become the karma that you do? If you have a lot of hatred, the hatred causes you to kill, right? It's the intention which is karma. Remember, the Buddha says karma is intention. So hatred is one of the intentions, right? So if you have a lot of hatred in your mind, then it will eat you up. You become the hatred. That's the meaning. Your life will be troubled by this hatred. If a lot of lust, this desire will eat you up. This desire will make you never happy, always wanting this or that. So it's not like you kill one cockroach, you'll be reborn as one cockroach. You kill one cockroach, you'll be reborn as a cockroach many times. Not necessarily one time. So it's frightening, isn't it? So it's how you think. All right? How you think. So remember, if you think hatred, you will end up hating. You do one act of anger, you are likely to repeat it. That's the meaning here. That is why we say, forgive our enemies. May our enemies also be well and happy, because we don't want to repeat that negative emotion inside us. Okay? Is that clear enough? All right. Next, 1.3. Here, bhikshus, a certain person has done only a slight bad karma, but it takes him to hell. Here again, bhikshus, for another person, just a slight bad karma that is experienceable right here and now is not experienced in the least. How would it ever be abundant at all? Okay? So sometimes this good person has a very bad thought, so and he does this bad thing and he thinks about it. So of course he'll be reborn in the kind of state. But in the case of the other person, just take it as it is. It's not troubled by it. Okay? So that karma will not act on it. So in other words, what you think will come back to you. It's what you keep thinking about will come back to you. So this is where you have the case of this public executioner. He was a very terrible person. When he was young and strong, he doesn't know any work, doesn't know how to do any work, so he tried to join this band of robbers. In fact, the robber chief knows him so well, is scared of him, doesn't want him to join the group. But he's very clever. He made friends with all the other robbers. There were 500 of them. So they all like him. So because they like him, only the head knows his real character, but the leaders vote only one vote. The others all like him, so he joined them, you see. So the poor robber leader got very worried. And true enough, one day all these robbers got captured by the king. Then the king said, wow, so many robbers, how to chop off their heads. And there is no executioner in the city. So the king offered a reward. He says, anyone here who will execute these robbers? will be made the chief executioner of the city. He will get paid. Nobody wanted to do this, except this bad guy. Imagine he's one of the robbers, He said he will do it. Now that is why the leader didn't want him. The leader knew he would betray them, But he said, yes, I will kill my own friends, So he executed all of them. Nice friend, huh? So then he became the city executioner, the king's executioner, until he grew very old. He couldn't chop properly already. Terrible, huh? So he got no other work. There was no retirement plan those days. So he felt very depressed. I mean, you can imagine after killing so many people, you surely feel depressed, to say the least, He really was. He felt so bad. Then he realized all these wrong things he has done. And then he met Sariputta. He was very lucky. He met this wonderful Arahat, And Sariputta told him, stop thinking about all the bad karma you have done. You never wanted to do this in the first place. The king asked you to do it. The king invited you to do it. So it's not really your fault in that sense. So what Sariputta is teaching this executioner is, don't think about all those things. So it's the thought that holds us back, Okay? So yes, this person has done a lot of wrong things, In a sense, it's not his choice. But if we keep thinking about it, it will come back. So Sariputta said, don't think about it. Just think happy thoughts, try to meditate and so on. And true enough, he died happily, is reborn, happy rebirth. Heavenly rebirth, in fact. The story stops there. Okay, you have to be very careful about this kind of story, This story means you can defer the result of karma for a while. You can choose good rebirth even though you have done bad action. You can counsel people who have done bad things, say you have this chance. Use this chance. But there is something else. You must remember this, you see. Because when you forget this, the bad karma is waiting, to ripen. It's like the dark seeds, waiting to ripen. So the moment you're not mindful, those bad seeds will ripen. That is why the Buddha says, unmindfulness is the way of death. Because if you are not mindful, this bad karma will ripen. See? We don't know what bad karma we have done in the past. So we don't want to give the chance for this bad karma to ripen. How do bad karma ripen? When you break the precepts. Especially habitually break the precept. You enjoy breaking the precept. If you're very careful, you think 10 times before you have to do it. Even though you're very careful. Most of us are like that. We don't want to break the precepts. Okay? So we try our best never to break the precepts, so that there is no chance bad karma will ripen. Okay? Alright, and so notice that the Buddha said this person has only done a small bad karma but is reborn in hell. One reason is because his last thought moment he thinks about negative things, right? Then he's reborn, suffering state. Take the case of the gods in Tawatingsa. It is said all these devas, as a rule, when they die, they will fall. The word for die among the devas is chavati. They only use for the devas. Chavati means to fall. Okay? Because the devas fall. Devas don't die, they fall. They fall from heaven, to the low states, to the subhuman states, even to the hell states. Why? Because there are 4 or 5 things, will appear, and the devas will know they're going to die. Some of these things are very strange, because these devas, the Tawatingsa devas, are very beautiful, very good looking. So once their armpit starts sweating, it's a sign they're going to die. Very interesting, eh? When they easily get upset and angry, it's a sign they're going to die. Because devas normally are very happy, When their color begin to become less bright, it's a sign they're going to die. It's like your bulb, start flickering, all right? So these are called death signs. So they know they will die. Now Sakra was very clever, so he saw the sign is going to die. In fact, he was terrified of it, He was so terrified. He wanted to meet the Buddha. And he made a mess of meeting the Buddha. He drove his chariot so near, made a lot of noise. The Buddha didn't want to see him. Anyway, he managed to see the Buddha just in time. And remember I told you the story of Sakkapanha Sutta, the discourse on Sakra's question. Right? So this sutta records how Sakra finally meets the Buddha, listens to the Buddha's teaching, and while listening, he dies. His karma ripened. But because his mind is focused on the Buddha's teaching, he is reborn immediately on the spot. So you see him, and there's no difference, He's reborn as the new Sakra. Old Sakra dies, new Sakra is reborn. Okay? He declares this to the Buddha. Okay? So this is where he knew he was going to die, but he made sure that his mental state is good so that he continues in the same state. So if you look at the Sakkapanha Sutta, in the verses, he mentioned there that he passed away and is reborn right there in front of the Buddha. Okay? This sutta has been translated with all the notes, so if you want, you can get it from us. No? I don't know whether it's online already or not. Anyway, you can email, we'll send it to you. All right? So, this is where the Devas, although they live in happy life, all these negative thoughts come to them and then they despair, they feel very unhappy, and they die. They are Devas, but they die unhappy. So when we die unhappy, you go to the subhuman states. That's why the Devas are reborn that way, in the subhuman state. Whereas if you are a stream winner, you're born as a Deva, you say everything is impermanent, so you're at peace with yourself. So even as a Deva, you die peacefully, happily. You either remain as a Deva, you go higher, or you are reborn. Lowest is human realm. But even then, wherever you are reborn, the place, the human family situation is conducive to your practice. Somehow you'll be able to practice. Okay? Alright, now next section 2. Bhikshus, what sort of person has done only a slight bad karma but is reborn, but it takes him to hell? Here, Bhikshus, a certain person is of uncultivated body. Uncultivated body, that means doesn't keep the precepts. Okay, the body refers to the first 3 precepts. All right, because the first 3 precepts deal with the body. Remember, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. All right, uncultivated moral conduct. That means
sorry, the 29 is the footnote. Is it resorting to self torture, not taking care of one's body or health?
Ascetic.
That is one meaning. Yes. That is one meaning. Yeah? That you practice wrong practice. Okay? But usually, cultivated body means your precepts are well kept. Yeah, you practice wrong teachings, also that's one of the meaning. And then, uncultivated moral conduct, then you have not keeping the precepts, all the precepts. Vinaya also for the monks. Uncultivated mind, that means you don't practice meditation in the proper way. Uncultivated wisdom, wrong views. Okay? Basically, the 3 trainings are all out. He is mentally limited. Notice, mentally limited. That means the mind not developed. Okay? With a small self. This is one of those rare occasions where the Buddha used the word self. Small self. Small self means narrow mind. Narrow mind. Okay? A lot of jealousy, hatred, and so on. Has a limited or small self, dwelling with only a little suffering. So he's enjoyed life. Okay, he's a rich guy, maybe comfortable life. So such a person has done only a slight bad karma, but it takes him to hell, right? So imagine someone very rich, very powerful, but not interested in religion, and then secretly does bad things. So bad karma will come to him. Number brackets 2, bhikshus, what sort of person has done a slight bad karma, experienceable right here and now, but which he does not experience in the least? How would it ever be abundant at all? Here, bhikshus, a certain person is of cultivated body. Okay, so there's a footnote there. Note 36. I think got to change the note here.
Cultivated body.
Yeah. So here, in other words, he keeps the precepts, the first 3 precepts. Cultivated moral conduct, the rest of the precepts. Cultivated mind, he does the right kind of meditation, and then the right wisdom. He is mentally unlimited, boundless mind. The mind is happy, with a great self. The great self, that means the mind can attain jhana, has a boundless great self, who dwells mentally immeasurable. Such a person is one who does not experience bad karma in any way. Okay, so summary. So a person can do a small karma, not big karma, little karma, but it's reborn in a bad place, because this person, the mind is uncultivated, right? Whereas someone can do a small bad karma, but doesn't suffer because his mind is cultivated. Okay, in other words, if you regularly, it's not your habit to break precepts, but something happened, you only do very rarely, so don't worry about it. The bad part is the worrying part. Okay, so tell yourself, okay, I shouldn't have done this, and then reflect why you break the precept. How could you prevent it like that? Okay, so that's the meaning. Okay, now the Buddha explain this by way of a parable. Okay. Section 3. Bhikshu, suppose a person were to drop a salt crystal in a small bowl of water. What do you think, bhikshus? Would the water in that small bowl become salty on account of the salt crystal and unfit to drink? He says, yes, Bhante. Okay, a small bowl, and then you have this lump of salt. You put into a little glass like this, you put a lump of salt. The water is sure to be salty, right? And then, okay, the rest are, so the Buddha says, similarly, the person who has very little good karma, I mean, he doesn't keep the precepts, doesn't meditate, so it's like someone with the salt, and then it goes into the water. Whereas in the number 4, here you have this same piece of what you call salt, but you throw it into a river, say Ganges River. No? You think the water will become salty in the river? Of course not, right? So if you habitually do good deeds, by nature you do good deeds, occasionally, accidentally, or someone trick you into doing bad karma, to breaking precepts, it's like one piece of salt thrown into the river. So you're still not affected if you don't think about it. Okay, you tell yourself, yes, this is wrong, but I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to repeat this mistake. That's how you protect yourself from bad karma. Okay? Now, I think I'll give you a break now. Okay, 9 o'clock. So, okay, let's continue. Now, in this sutta, we must remember, the Buddha uses examples which the people of his time understood, which may not be approved today by some people. But on the other hand, the Buddha is talking about something very real socially. Okay? Now let me show you what is meant here. Now, I'm going to simplify for you this, the parable of crime and punishment. Here the Buddha says there is this poor man and he steals some money. Okay? He's thrown into prison. So he's punished just because of this money he has stolen. But there is this another person, he also stole about the same amount of money, and yet he's not thrown into prison. Why?
Because he's rich.
Because he is rich. I mean, we read this, we say that's not fair. But then, if you look around today, it is true. In other words, if someone did something wrong, he's too poor to get a lawyer, he get into trouble. A very rich and powerful person does something wrong, he gets a good lawyer, he gets away with it. Right? So this is a very bad example, What the Buddha has done here, he has turned tables, He has used this bad example to show how good karma works. So what he's saying is, yes, this person got away with this time, because of his good karma. All right? Even bad person, they can have good karma, But remember, the good karma is not always there. They can serve you now, but sooner or later, the good karma will wear out. So this is how karma works. Karma is not like God, You pray to me, okay, I'll forgive you. Karma doesn't forgive. Karma just, conditions right, it will work for you. Whether you're right now you're good or bad, the good you have done in the past will come back and help you. Okay? But sometimes we are good, our good karma doesn't seem to come. The conditions are not right. So, how do you make the conditions right? Make your mind boundless. Make yourself big, selfless. Cultivate, meditate, reflect on impermanence. That's how you welcome, prepare the good ground for your karma to ripen. That's the meaning. Okay? Once you have that kind of strength, good karma the bad karma has no chance to ripen. It's all in the mind, see? That's the meaning. Yeah? And when bad karma does happen, you find it doesn't trouble you. Okay? So this is the meaning here.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
Supposing we take an example of Najib.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, okay, he got all this trouble.
Mm.
Then he come and listen. Let's say, assuming he comes for some strange reason, he listen. And that like this expensive stuff. Will you in any way help him to overcome his present?
Yeah, this is quite tricky. If you are a monk, a nun, or a Dharma teacher, anyone who comes to you, you have to help. This is the problem part, in a sense, the problem part. But when you teach this person, of course, you teach the same teaching as you will teach others. How this person follow or don't follow is not your fault. See? So you teach this person as you would teach the Dharma. Then you have done the right thing. But if you tell him, oh, you've done the right thing, and then you connive with him, that's a different story already. All right? That is why in Thailand you find there's something very strange that happens whenever one government is toppled. Those days when I was in Thailand, things are a little different now because the politics in Thailand is very complicated now. When I went to Thailand, Thanom was in power, and then the students got killed and so on, so he had to run away. They usually will run away when anything happens, and they'll come back when things are safe, people forget about it, But this Thanom was very clever. He came back early, just a little early, because he wants to get back into action. But he has to make sure that his enemies will not retaliate. So you know what he did? He became a short-term monk. Once you become a monk, no one will touch you. Very bad karma,
But they're not supposed to become a monk, isn't it? If they have to get themselves into trouble.
Well, he became a monk. He became a monk. Okay, okay. After all, he's a very powerful person, right? And he appears contrite. He appears. Well, there are ways these politicians, they know how to behave. So people felt, okay, looks like he's okay. He has changed, right? So they accepted him again. So this is the way the culture works. If you can show it that you can follow the culture, they will accept you again. Okay. So yes, there are some ways they try to create new karma. In other words, this is the idea. See, but remember, bad karma will sooner or later come back anyway. But then, as the years pass, this politician become too old anyway, so they won't get elected anyway. So then, out of the story, a new generation comes up. So you have that is politics anyway. But the point here is that you can try to trick karma, but karma is never tricked. Karma may obey you, but it will strike you when the time is right. So it's very dangerous. Okay, so. Yes, sometimes good people, sometimes bad people may seem to get away with it, but that's because somehow their good karma, the momentum is there. It is still okay. But then suddenly, look at the way, even in Malaysia, how the fate of Najib, for example, suddenly it just went down. You see, and you can say that's for a Buddhist, it's the working of past karma also. You see? So karma is very complicated in that sense, right?
What about stream winner? Do they have this sort of problem?
I would say yes, stream winner also have this kind of problem, but then they are not troubled by it. Of course,
that's serious also.
they would not have such a big problem. They wouldn't, because their lifestyle is such that they will never create the environment. They will never attract all this. Because we're talking about politics and big money and powerful people, Whereas the stream winner, he is very humble. He's not interested in all this power and all this big money. He's very happy. He's always so happy by himself. So he said, why do I need the millions? I don't need all these things, So it's different lifestyle. So he's by nature happy, okay? But in a sense, you can say the poor have less problems than the rich, in a sense, they have basic problems like hunger and so on, But then again, some communities, like in the Philippines, you find the poor are rarely hungry because they help each other. There's always this sense of camaraderie, that they share their food and so on, and their family connections, they take care of each other. And they're very friendly to each other. Whereas the rich are not like that. Okay? Alright, so now the last part is about the poor and rich. Same thing here. So here it says, someone steals something. Section 7. Which you suppose a butcher or a sheep slaughterer is able to strike or bind or dispossess or do as he like to someone who, without permission, has taken away a ram. Now here you see the laws of ancient India. This is of course not the Buddha's idea. He's just, from this kind of story, if you're a social historian, you begin to know what kind of laws were used in the Buddha's time. So the law is this: if you're a butcher or a sheep slaughterer, and someone steals something from you, you catch this guy and you can do anything you like with him. That's the law those days in the Buddha's time, So of course, the Buddha wouldn't agree with this, but that's the law. Okay. So this sheep slaughterer or butcher can do what he like, even beat him up, or even kill him, Why? Because he's poor. He's got no way to pay back, right? And there is something else, in Buddha's time. If you owe people a lot of money, you can't pay back, then you become a slave to the family. And depending on how much money you owe, for many generations, you can become slave to the family. And there is something else very strange. If you are slave to the family, you are regarded as part of the family. That means they also must take care of you. You work, yes, but they must take care of you. So you find in the Sigalovada Sutta, the Buddha mentions that you must treat your slaves well also. Whereas if the laborer Kamakara is employed, he has to work and he has to make sure whatever he does is according to agreement. Whereas the slave can say, sorry ma'am, I got headache today, I can't work, so they can do that. You see? So they have a bit more freedom. They are part of the family, but they are lower level, they have to do all the dirty work, if you like. Okay? So that is the system in the Buddha's time. The Buddha didn't make this, he's just telling us this is what happened. You see? Okay? So these are things you got to bear in mind. So this poor man, he got no way of paying back the loss, so he's taken in and beaten up by the butchers and the owners. Whereas someone else, he's caught with a similar crime, but he's rich, so he can just pay back the money or whatever, so he's free to go, right? So what the Buddha is saying here is, he's saying that ability to clear away, not to get punished, is your good karma. You don't get punishment coming upon you. It doesn't mean that it is right for this butcher to beat up the thief or what. That's not the meaning. So you got to interpret it properly. Okay, these are worldly examples which need to be reinterpreted. The meaning is neyata, must be drawn out. Okay, so the Buddha said if you mix up neyata and nitata, then it's a serious problem. The Buddha said. So this is when you must interpret properly. Okay, the Buddha, for example, in the Sigalovada Sutta, the Buddha says you must take care of all your wives. It doesn't mean that, the Buddha allows us to have many wives. That's not the point, you see. In the Buddha's time, the rich, the kings had many wives. So the Buddha is just telling the king, you better take care of all of them properly, you see. All right? So these are contextual social teachings. All right? So there you are. So here, in summary, someone does a small bad karma, he goes to hell because his nature is such that he has a bad mind, he doesn't practice a precept. So even a little bit of bad karma, he does a small bad action, the result's very powerful. Where someone else does a small action, nothing happens, right? Then similarly, certain bad actions you do, the results may or may not come to you depending on how well you train yourself. So the message here is that keep practicing, keep your body, speech and mind healthy and pure, keep the precepts, then the bad karma is unlikely to ripen. You may make a small mistake, you may break a precept occasionally, not because you want to, it just happened. You will still be safe. You will still not create, the bad karma will not blow up. Okay, it doesn't mean that there's no bad karma. There is bad karma, but it doesn't affect you. That's the meaning. Okay, so we want to lessen that bad habit, lessen it, so that in the end you will never even want to do it. Okay, but in the case of streamer, he will never want to do it, never want to break the precepts. Okay. So I hope this sutta is clear enough for you. If you are not sure, just ask. No?
Yeah.
Yes?
You have the theme here for this sutta, Lona Pala Sutta. How loving kindness can limit the effect of bad karma.
I think mindfulness will be better. Yeah, one more point to remember is if you have a lot of metta, there's another sutta, It says that if you have a lot of metta, loving kindness also weakens the effect of bad karma. This is another story, Let's say this bad karma is coming to you, So instead of hating your enemy, you show a lot of loving kindness, then you find the effect will not be so bad. That's another way, how to lessen it. Or even stop it. If you do it properly enough, it's possible to stop it. For example, especially on Facebook, you find some people, they can say very stupid things and then people get angry, Whenever someone says stupid things, I know the person's is very unhappy about something. So the first thing I write is, may you be well and happy, you know.
Gets more angry.
And then, yeah, it depends how you say it, okay? I mean, it's the general principle, okay? You must know how to say it. Before that, perhaps I would say, yes, you are right. They like to hear that, you see? Yes, you are right. But I hope you will accept my view, this is this. And you write that, and you say, may you be well and happy, okay? If they're very angry, I think you just say, may you be well and happy. That helps too, because you don't retaliate, you see. Then you got nothing, you got no fuel to hit you back, you see. Because some people are very stupid. They just want you to say bad things, and they say more bad things, and they're very happy that way. It's a very silly thing to do. You got a lot of time on Facebook, you know. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
So mentioned about the story about the before rebirth and then the mindset before the rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
So I read I remember one sutta, this man, I think he helps in the monastery in Buddha's time. I think about Mahanama, right?
Okay.
Forgotten. Yeah. Because he always helped in the monastery. So when he, after finish his task, he would walk home, but he will pass through darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Because also forested area.
Yes, yes.
So he asked the Buddha, what happened one day when he went back, and then he may be hit by animals, or he killed by some animal, or run away, perish, or whatever. Then he asked the Buddha, what happened if at the last moment? Because naturally he will be feared. So what will happen? He asked Buddha. So Buddha told him that no worry. No worry, because he has been unshaken confidence in the Buddha, Dharma, and then he has been helping around for so long.
Yes.
He said no worry. He said it will be fine. It will go to the happy destination. So how does this reconcile with the?
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, because that person, he keeps in mind, for example, he reflects on the Buddha, see? So that brings joy. He reflects on the Dharma, brings joy. It can be anyone, not necessarily all three. Okay, so when he has joy, people see this, the crooks or those animals. They sense this person, but they won't attack because of this loving kindness. That's one. Okay. Number two, if he is killed, his last thought is happy thought also. So he would be happy rebirth. Either way, he's safe, right? In fact, there is a story here, you know. We all don't sing that song here. It's called Yo Wadatang, Yo Wadatang Pawaro Manu Jesu. It's one of those Pali songs sung in Sri Lanka, right? It's called the Three Jewels Song. He's a young boy. It's called the song of the boy, Manawa. What's his name? Do you remember his name, this boy? Yo Wadatang. It just slipped my mind at the moment. Chatta, yes. Chatta Manawaka. Chatta means royal umbrella. No? Chatta. Okay. There are three verses, you know, on the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. So this song, it says to be a good step song. So it goes like this. Yo wadatang pawaro manu Jesu Sakya muni bhagawa katta kicho. And it goes on like that. Okay. So as he walks, he sings this song, you know, and he reflects on the Buddha. Okay, such as the Buddha is like this, you know. And then the story goes that at that time, a hunter shot an arrow towards an animal. This hunter doesn't know the boy is there, but this arrow flew and struck him instead. So no intention at all. His karma was ripened, has ripened. The arrow struck him. He died while singing this song. Then he was reborn as a Tawatingsa heaven, beautiful deva, and then he came down to the Buddha, thanked the Buddha for teaching in the Dharma, and that's how we got this song. See? So this is a reflection on this kind of teaching now. All right? So in other words, keep your mind happy and healthy, no matter what happens outside you. The example of the eye of the storm. Okay, the eye of the storm is peaceful. As the storm moves, there's always this stillness. Everything is going round and round, all around, but you are peaceful at the center. Then you will not be affected by all these negative things around you. The world out there is full of anger, but I have no anger in me. The world out there is full of hatred. There shall be no hatred in me. The world out there is filled with delusion. There shall be no delusion in me. So this is another kind of metta practice you can use also like that. Okay? All right. Anything else?
I think also the Bahia Sutta.
Yes, Bahia Sutta. Of course, he met the Buddha. You see? So if you meet the Buddha, you're very fortunate. Buddha can teach you something, and then you can easily focus your mind. Because he looks at you, he knows just what teaching to give you. Yes, he's like a very good specialist. Look at you, he knows what medicine, what healing you need. Okay? Yes?
Can I also say that sometimes karma is actually something that brings you more awareness? Because sometimes, like last time when I was young, right, I used to be very quick temper and I cannot control my anger.
Mm-hmm.
So I get into trouble a lot of times. But eventually, because I got into a lot of trouble, then it actually brings back a reflection.
Yeah.
So it actually also somehow helped me to see that if I have this anger, why I have it.
Yes.
From there, I actually change. So if I do not get into trouble, I don't get into this problem, I do not overreact, then it will never happen. This change will never happen.
The logic is a bit of problem there. Actually, this is called the miracle of instruction. Okay? You know why? Because if you say that's the case, then everyone should do bad karma, you see? Yeah, no, you're right, you see? Yeah. No, what you say, you're right. It's just that you cannot join up the logic in the way you put it, you see? Because it's true for you, yeah. But it will not be true for everyone. It may be true for some other people also, but not everyone. That's what I mean, you see? I said it's better to explain it by the miracle of instruction because you use it as a lesson. It's different, you see. Others may not use it as a lesson. Others will say they will use it as an excuse. They say, well, I was right, then there's no lesson. But here you learn, you say, wow, you notice cause effect, you know what happened, you know why it is not good. And you say, it's better to behave like this, So you see the wisdom of it. That's called the miracle of instruction, okay? In the Kevada Sutta, the Buddha said the greatest miracle is that of learning, of instruction, okay? Anusasana actually means instruction, okay? But here you instruct yourself. You say, this is wrong, okay? So you are teaching yourself, and that is very wise. Okay, so that's the logic. Okay, it's not because you've done something wrong. It is rather you reflect on it and you say, you see it for what it is, and then you say this is not good, and I'm going to let it go.
People would somehow see no.
Exactly. There are some other people who just have the opposite. They say they'll give excuses. They say I am justified in doing that. Then they don't learn. You see. But in your case, you do see the broad effect of it, and that helps you to set things in perspective. So that is called wisdom. All right? Okay? Does that mean lesson end already? Any more questions or not? No more, huh? Okay, so let's close for today. Yeah? Right, so this is the time when we spend a quiet moment reflecting on this very beautiful occasion when we have a chance to look within ourselves, to see the Buddha, to remind ourselves of all the wonderful goodness that we can do so that we have happier lives, so that our life is full of learning, of lessons that bring us wisdom. Wisdom means knowing what to do in the right way that cuts down suffering and brings greater joy to yourself and to others. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of such karma, may we be well and happy. May we be blessed with the courage and wisdom to at least aspire to stream winning in this life itself. By this same good karma, may our loved ones, our family and friends to be well and happy. May those who are practicing the Dharma to see the fruit of their practice in this life itself. By the power of the three jewels too, may those who have gone the wrong way, teaching the wrong things, may they too see the true path in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.